ask you, how did you get involved with the Savannah Bananas? Did you create the whole franchise?
Yeah, we launched it from nothing, and literally launched it from nothing. And it was yeah, we can get into it later, but the story is it was crazy to see how bad it was 5 years ago to where we are now.
Wow. Wow. Now, were you always a baseball guy? I have a stolen too, so.
Yeah. I played baseball. Yeah, I played baseball my whole life. You know, that was the goal, to play professional. My dad bought a baseball facility when I was a kid so I could play year round. That was it.
Okay.
So I got a full college scholarship and started hearing professional teams. And I know your counterparts. I started getting Christmas cards from the New York Mets and Pittsburgh Pirates and the Braves and the Padres. And then all of a sudden, my senior year in college, tore everything in my shoulder. I went and saw Dr. Andrews. He tried to get me back, but it couldn't come back. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay. Hey, listen, that's usually how it goes for a lot of people. The career, it never ends like, you know, the way it ends for like a Derek Jeter or Mariano Rivera or an Ortiz. It's always something that ends your career and you say, man, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, what's next? But that's the most exciting part. You know, a lot of times people just say, oh, I'm done. And I'm like, no, the challenge, the adversity, that's where you can really make something. And a lot of people don't look at it with that optimism.
Yeah, no, that's totally true, man. So you grew up outside of Boston?
Yeah, a little town, Situate, Massachusetts. I think it was 7,000 people. You know, played baseball. It was just me and my dad. I was an only child. My parents got divorced. You know, my mother had some drug issues, and it was a situation. And my father did everything to try to, you know, prepare me to be successful and have opportunities. And so even today, you know, in my mid to late 30s, I still try to make my dad proud. And that's everything I do, because that was my whole upbringing. How do I can make my dad proud of the son that he raised?
Yeah, no, that's super cool, man. Listen, they say those that end up making it are the ones that typically come from challenging upbringings. But they are also those that find support in their upbringing as well. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously from your background as well. I mean, anytime you're dealing with challenges and adversity, it actually prepares you for what's to come. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs, when COVID happened, you know, a lot of people are, you know, hiding. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I got excited. I was, you know, not excited for the health reasons, obviously, but excited for our business. I was like, this is going to make us innovate quicker. This is going to make us do things that we were waiting to do. And let's jump in. And because we've dealt with adversity, I mean, sleeping on an airbed just 5 years ago and down to our last dollar, and, you know, starting up my first team when I was 23 years old with no money, and, you know, literally not be able to pay myself for 3 months in the middle of the first recession. I mean, I've been in these situations, and that just kind of gets me fired up to say, all right, what are we going to do when other people are kind of waiting to see? You know, find a way.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to a guy yesterday who runs a family business here in New York, and they do a great job. They have, you know, facilities all over the country, and he says most people during this time they fold, but the smart people focus, right? They find the opportunity in the times of opposition.
Love it.
You know, and that's what you have to do. You know, there's too many people that get caught up in talking about what's going on and not enough time talking about what they're going to do.
100%. You know, right now we're the 1% of the 1% of the 1% that's actually playing baseball games in front of fans. So I was told that we're playing games in front of more fans than anybody else in the country. And when everyone's saying it's easy, let's just cancel the season to get certainty. We announced back in April that we are going to play our season starting on July 1 in front of fans. And I think all the media in the press conference like, sure you are, Jesse. Yeah, good luck doing that. But when you set a goal and you set an intention, say, no, we're not going to give up the easy way. We're going to find a way. The whole staff and everything we did said, this is what we're going to do. And, you know, sometimes it's not the easiest, but it's worth it. And so find out those things that are worth it. And then it really makes you look back and say, you know what, we're actually made of something. And no matter what comes our way, we're going to find a way. So that's excited our whole staff. And as we're playing in front of fans right now, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, listen, you know, there's nothing better than playing in front of fans. People that haven't played in front of fans, they don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
If you play without fans, honestly, I think it's great to play baseball, but it's horrible to play without fans.
Yeah,
you need fans.
Yeah, we feed off it, and you need it. And I think that's so key for our players too. It's the recognition loop and the feedback loop that our players are getting, not just for how they play, but, you know, as you probably heard from the way we do things, and our, you know, players, you know, dance during games and hand out roses to the little girls in the crowd and go on dates with fans. It's the feedback for delivering a great experience for the fans. And when they get that, they know they have a bigger purpose beyond baseball. And obviously with your background, the guys who made the biggest impact weren't just the guys that, you know, had the most strikeouts or the most home runs. They were the guys that were doing things off the field. And that's going to lead them in their future, and not just, you know, what their success was on the field. And that's what we're trying to teach the guys, that it's the impact you're making on other people's lives, not just how you play the game.
Yeah, no, it's super cool, man. The Baywatch video took me right back to my youth. And I said, that's it. I got to reach out now. It's time. My wife and I watched it 3 times. We're like, are you kidding me with this? Brilliant.
Yeah, we have fun. You know, that's what we think every year is, what are those videos the guys can do to be a part of? And again, that they're a part of something that's fun. You know, I think that's, you know this, and as much as anything, and I respect everything that's happened in Major League Baseball, but when it becomes a business, it takes away why the game was invented in the first place. It was invented to be a fun game that people get to play. The word play is so important. Yep. And so we try to set that tone every single day. And on the front page of our website, it's, we make baseball fun. Yeah. And how we do that is fans first, entertain always. The name of our company is Fans First Entertainment. When you have a clear intention of what you're trying to do, it makes all your decisions so much easier. So doing a Baywatch video is a no-brainer for us. You know, playing a game in kilts. By the way, we're 3-0 now in kilts. Playing a game in kilts on St. Patrick's Day, with what everyone's saying you guys are playing in skirts, was fun for the guys. You know, doing an Old Town Road video and a Can't Stop the Peeling video, and having a male cheerleading team, and having a breakdancing first base coach, and all of that we tried to build is, it's clear. We're trying to make baseball fun for everyone. And so it's a little different. Baseball purists hate us, being clear. The traditionalists are like, you guys are ruining the game. But, you know, fortunately, after some real challenges 5 years ago, we've built the success to really make a name for ourselves.
You know what, Jesse, I don't think the game's going back, though, to where the traditionalists want it. Listen, I love the game. I love what I am a traditionalist.
Yes.
You know, as it relates to the game. And I love I like watching the catcher get pounded and the second baseman, you're sliding in hard to take them out, or the shortstop. But the game is changing. And if they want engagement in the game, they have to adapt, like the Savannah Bananas.
Well, I learned is, you got to be your own fan to an extent. And you got to think about putting yourself in your customer's shoes. And as a guy who played baseball my whole life, you as a sports guy, when I started realizing I had challenges watching an entire baseball game because it was boring for me, how could it be fun for other people that don't understand the game, don't understand, hey, they may be hitting and run here. They're going to bunt the guy over. They're going to try to do this situation. Ooh, they're going to bring in a left-handed here. Knowing all that, I understood it, but I was still bored. Yeah. So you got to put yourself in your customer's shoes and say, all right, what would make this the most fun for people that they don't leave the game early? I made a little quip the other day and said, the cardboard cutouts are great, but because the baseball's still too long until it's too slow, the cardboard cutouts are leaving the games early. So that's what we've seen. We've been so fortunate after selling only 2 tickets in our first 3 months and having to sleep on the airbed and struggling. We've sold out every game and people can't get tickets. And literally they still leave in the 7th or 8th inning. If that doesn't tell you something about the game, and these incremental changes of having a pitch clock and all that, it's not making a difference. Baseball still needs to be faster and more exciting. And we're on that mission to make it the best fan experience there is. And we got to continue to push pressure on ourselves to do that, and not just say we're going to settle with, hey, we're selling out every game. No, it can still be better. And that's what we're fighting to do every day.
Which I think is an awesome attitude. I was talking to a guy yesterday, one of my clients, he's in private equity, and he's talking about how the typical, finance individual is boring. They haven't adapted. And he said, this COVID has allowed me to adapt in that I'm allowing my people to work from wherever and do some different things.
Yes.
And I think this is, we're talking baseball and we're going to talk business too, but this is a great lesson for anybody. Don't get stale, or don't just do things the way it's always been done because it's always been done that way. 100%. Challenge those norms and listen and watch your people, your customers, and adapt.
Yeah. Challenge the rules of your industry. Number one, look at what are all those rules. This is the way it's always been done. Challenge that. Look at all the friction points in the customer experience and try to eliminate those. Literally attack each one. And then, from there, we look at, all right, what makes you unforgettable? Everyone talks about, oh, we got to stay relevant. What are we doing to stay relevant? No. How do you become unforgettable? That no matter what the challenge is going on in the world, people will always remember you. They'll always go to you. They'll always flock to you. And those are the questions we ask when we try to develop our entire experience and map it. And so that's what gets fun for us. It's like, all right, what can we do today to experiment, to do something that people will say, you wouldn't believe what happened at the ballpark tonight. You wouldn't believe what we saw with the streaming, which we're doing a crazy streaming experience. You get people saying that, that's how you can really grow a business, because you're not just focused on, we're going to market and try to sell, we're going to try to promote. Make your experience so great that everyone promotes for you. And that's the game and the challenge that we've been trying to overcome.
Yeah, I think people today, they think they could just, in the marketing side, I'll pay Instagram or Facebook for some advertising, but it's always about me. It's always about myself or I.
Yes.
For you, it's like, no, it's about my customers. It's about the fan experience. It's about this yellow suit catches your attention, and now you're pulled into why I'm even wearing this yellow suit.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Dana, when we came into Savannah, and professional baseball was here for 90 years. And, for us, we're not professional baseball. People don't know, like, there's major league, there's triple A, there's double A, there's regular A, low A, rookie ball, independent professional baseball. Then there's us way down here. I mean, we're college summer baseball. And so we had to ask ourselves, what business are we in? What business are we really in? And we couldn't be just in the baseball business. We had to play a different game. We couldn't be the best baseball team. So we had to figure out what we're going to do. So in Savannah, Georgia, professional baseball was here for 90 years. I mean, Babe Ruth played here, Hank Aaron, Lou Gehrig, you name it, they played here. Unbelievable baseball history, but they were failing. So the team left because the city wanted to build a new stadium. And we came in as these underdogs, these college summer ball team. We showed up with myself, my wife, our 24-year-old president, and 3 22-year-olds right out of college. What a squad we had that first day. This is 5 years ago.
Barstool Sports over there.
Exactly. I mean, we showed up, we had no clue what we were doing. And we showed up, and the former team had cut the phone lines. They cut the internet lines. They took everything out of the ballpark. So we went out into the park, the public park, and grabbed a picnic table, took it into this abandoned storage building, and started using our cell phones and calling people in the community. And they were like, who are you guys? We have no interest in coming to your games. And we sold 2 tickets in the first 3 months. So we started literally trying to market like everyone else, social media, newspaper, radio. And we got results like everyone else because we didn't have the attention of the people and no one cared. What made us different? Yeah. And so as you know, I mean, January of 2016, we got a call on a Friday, overdrafted our account. And my wife turned to me and said, we have no other choice. We had to sell our house. And so we just married for a few years, sold our house. We emptied out our savings account. We put the little money we had into the team. And we said, we got to be dramatically different. And so it was that point that we said, all right, we're going to name the team after a fruit, but it's not just naming the team the Savannah Bananas. We're going to have a senior citizen dance team called the Banana Nanas. They're all in their 70s and they dance Justin Timberlake and Michael Jackson. We're going to have a mascot named Split. We're going to have a male cheerleading team called the Mananas, but now they're just referred to as the Dad Bod Cheerleading Squad. But we started thinking of all these things that could create attention. And then when they're like, wow, these guys are different. Wait, every single ticket's all inclusive? Wait. Every ticket, you get all your burgers, your hot dogs, your chicken sandwiches, your soda, your water, your popcorn, your dessert, and your ticket for $18. They started thinking like, wow, these guys are different. And then they could start feeling the experience. But it wasn't the marketing. It wasn't the promoting. It wasn't the selling. It was all started with the experience. And so that's where I look at any company. It's like, you got to start with what are those things that are frustrate, upset your customers and do the exact opposite. Yeah. And then they do all the marketing for you.
Jesse, so where do you start? Let's because there's going to be folks, that are just startup entrepreneurs that are listening to this. Yes. They say, hey, I'm a total underdog. I have nothing to lose, but I also have no money and no capital to get started. I have huge dreams, but how do I start to create some differentiation? Where do I even begin to cut my teeth and be different? Like, how do I start that?
It's a great question. And to find it, the best answers in business come with the greatest questions. So I think people always try to say, all right, here's what we got to do. Well, ask the right questions first. And, for us, and the way it started for us was we have what we call a mirror moment. And I challenge every entrepreneur to actually look themselves in the mirror, not focus on your competitors, focus on yourself and your industry and say, what are the biggest friction points in the industry that I'm in from a customer's point of view? And actually, frankly, say, what pisses me off about the industry?
Yeah.
Start with a little anger and a little fire because, pissed off sometimes equals passion. I was pissed off that the game was so long, so slow, and so boring that when I was meeting with people in the town, they said, we don't like baseball or people don't want to come to baseball. It's too long, too slow, too boring. I was pissed off when people said, you know what? You get nickel and dime when you come to a ballpark. It's $6 for a burger, $7 for this, $8 for this. That pissed me off. Right? So immediately I said, no, we're going to make it nonstop entertainment. Our players are going to start doing choreographed dances every game. We're going to make it nonstop fun. And we're going to make every ticket all inclusive so you don't feel like you get nickel and dime. But you've got to have that mirror moment and look internally. Like I said, so many people focus on the competitors in the industry. I don't pay attention to the people in the industry. I learn from outside the industry, but we learn from starting with ourselves. So that's where we start. And I think when you can have that internal reflection and say, all right, you're right. What is those things that frustrate me, but what makes us different? What do you want to be known for? And the best question I think anyone can ask themselves is, what can you be the only at? What can you be the only in your industry? You know what? Being a little faster, being a little bit better, being a little bit cheaper, That's not different. That doesn't stand out, but only stands out. And if you can right now say, all right, this is how we're going to differentiate ourselves. We're going to be the only one that does X. Then all of a sudden, you don't need to market like everyone else. You don't need to promote like everyone else. You don't need to sell like everyone else. So we knew that we were going to be the only one to have dancing players, the only one to have a breakdancing first base coach, the only baseball team to have a full pep band, the only team to have a senior citizen dance team. We started looking at all these different things. We have a professional high fiver on our staff.
Oh, that's cool.
Literally a 6-year-old kid. And he got the job because no one else wanted it. And he started high-fiving everyone. Now, this year with COVID, he's the professional air high-fiver. He came up with a new job. But when you start looking at all these onlys, then all of a sudden you can create an experience that everyone's talking about. Yeah. And again, coming back to what makes you unforgettable. So it sounds big and daunting, but just start very, very small and say, all right, who are we? What do we want to be known for? And so that's been easy for me. And this yellow tux that, we're looking at right now, this has really just become kind of a calling card, not for me, but who we are. It's a show at our ballpark. P.T. Barnum's my biggest influence, him and Walt Disney. I've read every book on them I could. And, when I put this on, it's showtime. What is it? What's your showtime? What's your game time? Or are you just trying to fit in like everyone else? And yes, do I get looks standing like this? Like, what is wrong with this guy? When I was doing a lot of speaking before COVID, the looks at the airport, people were like, what is this guy's a disaster? And like people taking videos, like I can't see they're taking videos of me.
Yeah.
But you know what? It stood out. And then once people understand my message and who I am, they're like, all right, I get it now. It's okay to be misunderstood. Jeff Bezos said the best companies, the biggest innovators are misunderstood at first. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. The greatest people are. Twitter was misunderstood when it started. People were like, what is Twitter? All right, TikTok right now, it's completely misunderstood, but it's killing it. Be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like, too, this is who you are.
Yeah.
So this all works for you. For somebody else, they think, I would never once want to leave and say, you know what? Well, you know what? I'm just going to throw on a red suit and hope, it's who you are. Everything is aligned. Brand alignment is there. It's all there.
Yeah. Well, and again, I opened my first book, Find Your Yellow Tux. I said, how do you want to be remembered? And start with the end in mind. And so write your eulogy. If you were to write your eulogy, how do you want to be remembered? And I was writing at 30 years old in my early 30s. It was tough. And it's probably changed and evolved now since then. But if you write that, then you know who to be. You have a guidepost. You have a destination. You have a North Star. And so for me, it's like, I want to put on the show. I want to inspire people. I want to impact people. I want to make people happy. And so like this fits with it. It isn't being anything different. So who do you want to be? And when people look back at you, what's the impact you want to make? And that can guide your decisions. And we've worked with that with our young staff. I mean, we have all 22, 24, 25-year-old, staff members with us, teammates. And we talk about that. Who do you want to be? What's the impact you want to make? And to give a clear focus for them and not just for what they can do for employees. Care for your people as people first. And that's been kind of a game changer for us.
Yeah, I love that. Your human capital, I always say, is everything. That's your most important capital. That gets you the other capital if you do it right. So you go to where'd you go to college?
I went to Wofford College, a little small Division I school in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Okay, so there you go. You could start from anywhere. That's what I always like to say.
Good point.
You don't have to be an Ivy Leaguer.
Yes.
You can start from anywhere. And then what was the journey to Savannah? Like, did you come out of college, your baseball career's not happening.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, and it was tough. And I was actually filming a documentary at school as my capstone project for as a senior. And I became a part of the story trying to come back from my shoulder surgery. And I turned the camera on myself as I found out I would never play baseball again. And I saw that video about a couple months ago, and I'm emotional. I'm distraught. Yeah. I don't know what I was going to do. And I think we all have those moments where you don't know what you're going to do. And I'm so glad it was captured because I looked at that moment. I was like, I was devastated. Mm-hmm. But 3 weeks later, I got an email about an internship with a team, and I took it. And that first day, it was a small team that doesn't even exist anymore. And they gave me a telephone book that said, start selling sponsorships.
Okay.
So I was on the front office aspect. And fortunately, I did that. And I was like, you know what? I like meeting people in the community. I like selling the idea of coming to baseball games. So I got offered the job as a GM of a team in Gastonia, North Carolina, a team that's no longer going to exist now, the Gastonia Grizzlies. And at 23, I was given the job of GM. And the question is, how do you get offered the job as a GM at 23? Very simple. It's the worst team in the entire country. No one wanted the job. I mean, it was bad, man.
Yeah.
I remember that first day in September when I showed up and I looked at the books and there was $268 in the bank account. And we had 3 full-time employees and payroll was on Friday. And I realized there were only 200 fans coming to the game, and the team had lost $100,000 the previous year. That's pretty tough when you only make $100,000 in total revenue. It was bad.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my dad again, my biggest mentor, and he's like, Jesse, well, there's two things you can do. You can run, you can quit, or you can figure it out. And at that point, I remember going on Amazon, and I bought every book on P.T. Barnum, on marketing, on Walt Disney, on sales. I read more books in that first 2 weeks than I did my entire college career and high school career. And I said, I'm going to try to figure out what to do. And that's when I came to the realization that we can't be a baseball team. You know, we need to be a circus, have a baseball game break out. We need to differentiate ourselves with that. That's the only thing I think we can be the best at. And so then we started trying things. And a lot, some, flatulence fun night failed. All right. And the idea of giving away whoopee cushions at the gate and having a bean burrito eating contest, salute to underwear night, where literally fans, if they were told to wear underwear on the outside, they got a free ticket. It was the most unfamily friendly night ever. We tried a lot of promotions that failed really, really badly. But we started setting the tone that, hey, you never know what's going to happen in the ballpark. And this isn't going to be boring. It's going to be fun. Yeah. And I learned so much those first few years because, and I want to say this, like, I had an owner who was willing to empower me to make decisions. And some of the best advice I ever received from him, and it wasn't really advice, I'd say, Ken, hey, I want to have a game at midnight. Forget about a Friday night, 7 o'clock game. I want to have a game at midnight. Call it Midnight Madness. Make it crazy. He said, all right, Jesse, well, what do you think? And he'd always come back and be like, Ken, we're going to have a grandma beauty pageant on Thursday night. He'd go, what do you think? And he taught me at 23, 24, 25 to think for myself and to make decisions myself and to hold myself accountable. And by 24 years old, I pretty much, in my mind, I owned the team. I ran the team because I made all the decisions. And he was able to give me that freedom to do that. That's and cool. So as I look at myself as a leader or any other leaders, sometimes you need to let go to grow. And you can either have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both at the same time. And so I was like, I'm starting to give up some control to have our people grow as people, as leaders, and help our business grow. And it's tough. And sometimes I think you got to be okay with something happening 80% as good as you could do it. Yeah. But that can get to 85 to 90%. And that's been the biggest thing I learned from him. So I kept growing Gastonia from 200 fans a game to 1,000 fans a game to selling out games. I actually bought the team from him, and and we had more success. And then the opportunity in Savannah came. We came down here, and it was bigger than we ever imagined. And from selling 2 tickets to every game sold out, a wait list in the thousands, it's really unprecedented. And we're very fortunate that I had that learning curve over the last 15 years.
Yeah, and you took the risk by working for somebody else for probably not what you thought you should be making at the time. Like many people when they come out of college, they think they're
nothing
walking out of the ballpark. Yeah, and you end up still keeping the ramen noodles going strong. Yeah, survival food, right? Your survival pack, and you just keep going. And that's the thing. I talk to a lot of young people today, and they see where you are now, but they don't see what you did back then to get to where you are now. And what you deal with now.
100%. We have an intern that started with us back in the fall, and we gave him a project that was almost an impossible project. And if you know much about studied Steve Jobs would give impossible projects for people. He would say, all right, we need this done. And they'd say, it'll take 9 months. He goes, I need it done in 2 months. And he'd always move up the date, and it would always get done because he set the date, which added a constraint, which added creativity. And so we gave an impossible project to our intern. We wanted him to do a complete documentary in 1 week's time. Film it, edit it, produce it, and then show it to the whole team. And at the end of the week, he was like, I haven't slept. It's been impossible. It's been so hard. And he goes, it's not that good. It's not ready. And he was like, it was brutal. I go, how? And he goes, it was the worst week of my life. I go, the worst week of your life? Let's be, and he goes, and I go, all right, but here's the key, Nick. I go, you got to get through the suck. And I go, once you get through the suck, you realize that you can accomplish anything. And no matter what, you're not going to be perfect when you come out with something. And Mark Zuckerberg said it best, done is better than perfect. When we first came out with all-you-can-eat tickets, we were the first ballpark in the country, then being the only. Every single ticket is all-inclusive. All right, we're in a 1926 ballpark. To say our concessions setup is as good as it gets would be a far, far overstatement there, all right? It is not even close. We had no idea how to do it. So we knew we were feeding 4,000 people, all you can eat. We didn't know how much they were going to eat. We didn't know when they were going to eat. We had no idea. That first night was brutal. People got in line in the first inning. They didn't get their burgers until the 8th inning. Wow. They sat in line for 2 hours. We got ripped apart. But the next night, it took 30 minutes. The next night, it took 20 minutes. Now we can feed 4,000 people, 10,000 pieces of meat in less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
We had to get through the suck, the challenge to do something truly great. And you know what? The true definition of innovation is doing something that hasn't been done before. Everything else is iteration. So when you do something that never been done before, you don't know the best way to do it, but you just got to do it. When Jared, our president, and myself, we went to the Henry Ford Museum up in Detroit, and there was a big monument in front and said, Henry believed in learning by doing. His first 2 companies failed. His third one was pretty successful. I think so many of us have so much fear to just start doing. And that's why every single night at our ballpark, we do a brand new promotion we've never done before. Never practiced, never done it in front of a live audience, because it teaches us to get over our fear and start doing. And that's how you get through the suck and create something that's truly special. And we've tried to build that with our whole team.
I love that, man. I'm so from that cut. I realize how many things that I don't know how to do. And I realized that I could read books, I could go on YouTube and all this stuff, and I could learn some things, but there's nothing better than failing and feeling the fire that's about to burn your ass. And sometimes it does. And then you're running forward even faster towards,
100%. But we need to change the language. Here's the challenge. Failure is such a big, daunting word. No one wants to fail. Think about it. You go through education and you get that big F, or you get that failure, and you go home and you're treated like it was the worst thing that's ever happened. That failure is so ingrained in our minds as the worst thing ever. So I think we just need to change the language. Language is everything. Change failure to discovery. What did we discover today? Yeah. What did we learn today? And say, all right, are you discovering things every single day? Because if you're not literally trying things that are hard that people would call failures, you're not discovering enough.
You're also you're not living.
100%.
I mean, it's exciting to see what else is out there. I mean, we have so much potential. How much of it do we utilize,
Yes, you would 100%. I mean, the other night we did a horse race where we get those horse heads that people wear, and we put them on kids, and we had the hoofs, and it was in between innings. And we put them on all fours, and we didn't realize the kids couldn't see it all. So they ended up just running out into the outfield. One ran into our second baseman. The game is delayed like crazy. I'm trying to tell the kids, guys, take your horse heads off. We need to start. The fans are laughing hysterically. I'm mortified because the game's delayed. It was a failure. But again, that's a tiny little thing. I guarantee the next horse race will be better, and then the next one will be better. But most people say, no, they'll give up on it. They give up too soon because they don't realize what something could be.
So true. Are you somebody – you come across as a very creative guy. Obviously, there's another side to you too, which is, probably very focused alongside the creativity. But do you find sometimes the creativity gets the best of you and you start maybe going too far in that direction?
And our staff has to. Speaking of horses, we need a lasso in here to kind of lasso me in. I think, knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are huge. In the beginning, anybody entrepreneur, and as you know this as much as anything, you do everything in the beginning. I mean, our first team in Gastonia, I was hiring, I was doing the sponsorship, I was in the concessions, and I was terrible. Operation minded. To put up a sign in the ballpark that would take a normal human 10 minutes would take me an hour. I just couldn't figure it out. You have to do it all at first to learn what you love and what gives you energy and what, keeps you going. And so, yes, as far as my creativity, that's my specialty. But what I need is the executors to be on board. So, I have an idea book. Every day I write down 10 ideas and I go to the group and say, all right, what do we think about this? How can we implement this? And the executors say, yes, that makes sense, and help push us forward. So I'm very clear on that and starting to get better. But yeah, I think any entrepreneur wants to try new things and build new things. And I think you have to be really clear on what's your vision, what's your destination, where are you going, and does that creativity fit in there? And is the team on board? The saddest thing I think is getting to the top of the mountain by yourself. And, I'll never forget, I did a half marathon 2 years ago, and I finished the race and I did well. I was 17th overall in a small half marathon, and I crossed the finish line and I was by myself, and it was so lonely. And I realized I never want to cross the finish line alone. You can work your butt off and be so good, but you need a team. That's where you celebrate. That's where you kind of really accomplish things together. And so I always say that, all right, what are we doing together as a team? How are we coming up with this? How are you forming groups to come up with the ideas and implement them together? And so that's been a real big aha moment for me as well.
Yeah. And I would imagine, again, going back to your natural personality, the creator, and you said you need people to help you execute the executors. It's like a perfect combo. So you have the team within the team.
Yes.
Help you guys grow.
but they need to own the idea. So we've started having idea paloozas every month here at the stadium, and which is so much fun. I mean, yes, there's drinks involved, there's food involved, but the reality is we ask one question, a question we're trying to solve for our experience, our business, or for our fans, and everyone comes up with 3 to 5 ideas, and we do a pitch, and we have a whiteboard that says yes, maybe, needs work. There's no such thing as a bad idea. If it's a bad idea, how do you make it worse and come up even crazier? And so we all build this, and we ask who's owning it, who wants to work on that idea together, and that's how we get them implemented. And it's so exciting. You know, ideas bring inspiration. If you're a company that's just saying, hey, we're going to get incrementally better, and you're not dreaming big and thinking about what could be, not what is, there's a big difference there. We're always asking, hey, what could be? What could we create? And, you know, just this past year when we said we reimagined our streaming experience, this is how you watch a baseball game on TV. We said, well, what would challenge the rules on that? What would make it dramatically different? And that's why we said, all right, could we have a drone going during the games? Could we mic up our players during the games? Could we let our fans vote on who's going to pitch and who's going to close the game? And these are all things that we tried because it all came out of big idea palooza. And it was like, now we all felt a part of it. So when we put the drone the first night and we have the drone going and it's right over the pitcher as he's throwing the ball. And then when we mic'd up our pitcher during the game and our pitcher saying, hey guys, I'm throwing a fastball right now. And all the people watching, knowing what he's about to do, we were like, we were a part of this. Cool. And that is what's so cool. Again, not crossing the finish line alone, crossing the finish line together.
I talk a lot about that when I talk to companies and I say, listen, you know, the old way of leading, it was based on a dictator-based leadership style. So you fit in exactly what I talk about collaboration. Yes. A collaboration-based leadership style is the best because everybody's involved. And a lot of, you know, leaders today, let's say in their 50s and above, they say nothing pisses them off more than a millennial.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you have to learn that they do not respond well to this. They want this collaboration.
Yes. It's return on purpose more than return on investment. It's ROP. Everybody I work with and myself and our whole team, they want to feel purpose and meaning in what they do. At first, I thought it was about money. It's not about money. And yes, we did some crazy things. We let our staff dictate their own salaries one year, which was crazy, big raises. We've done things with a complete profit share and done trips and craziness, but it's purpose and meaning and what they're doing matters. And I think nothing matters more than making people feel like they matter. And how do you do that? How do you develop that every day? And, you know, I'll say something on that, Dan. I think it's really important. We have in our company 3 loves. Love your customers more than you love your product. Love your team, love your people more than you love your customers, and love yourself above all. And I don't think love is talked about enough in business. And when you have a basis of love, it's not about what your employees can do for you. It's what you can actually do for them as people. And when you start showing that love, loving yourself, putting yourself in a good spot every day that you can show up on purpose for your people, then they show on purpose for your customers. And it's built on love. And so I think we talk about that. I mean, our people, I'll never forget the first time our team, they all said, I love you to me. And my wife, when they surprised us with this huge picnic, and it was the most fans first experience I've ever seen. And they all hugged us at the end of the night and said, I love you. And these are big guys. These are grown men. These are, you know, and they said it. And that's a moment I'll never forget. And I guess I question, are you trying to focus what they can do for you and bring in money, bring in revenue, and make your business more successful? Are you focused on how you can actually love them and care for them as people? When you do that, everything else takes care of itself.
I think a lot of people struggle with that from the perspective of, I gave to this person and then they left.
Yeah, they got a paycheck. I did all this and then they left. Yeah.
So how do I continue to do that?
Yep.
Knowing that may happen. I think that's why some people struggle with that.
It's so hard, and we've gone through it. You know, you go through anger. You know, are you like, I'll be very open. Our vice president, who literally fought to get a job. We didn't have a position. This is when we sold 2 tickets. We hired him as a sales rep. He did very well. The next year, his dad and him are from Cleveland, diehard Cleveland Indian fans. Love it. I mean, literally, he as a kid, he watched them play the Marlins in the World Series and crying as they lost to the Marlins. I mean, really into it. After that first year, he made such an impact that we gave him a toy airplane and said, hey, Danny, this is shows you how far you've come with us, how far you're going, and how you're taking everyone with you. He was like, oh, nice, man. I go, oh, yeah, one more thing. You're flying tomorrow to game 1 of the World Series against the Cubs, and you're going with your dad. And he goes, shut up. And I go, no, Danny, we're really doing this. And we called his dad. His dad started crying. They were the first ones in line for game 1 of the World Series. And it's a memory and a moment that they'll never forget. And that's kind of how we pride ourselves. And 2 years later, he told us he was leaving. And we were like, what? You know, all these things. He became vice president. He got the salary he wanted. He did all this. And I was angry. My wife was angry. But then we said, all right, what's best for him if this is what he wants to do. And so we got the team together. We produced a video. Now, we do a lot of videos here, as you know. We produced a video of all his highlights, did a video for him. We each wrote a thank you letter to him, talking about our memories, and we all read them out loud to him in person. It was an emotional time. Then we gave him a plaque with all his greatest moments with us. And we exited on a point where it was like, we couldn't be more proud. To this day, Danny is so close with us. He was in the office just a few days ago. His wife actually works with us, and we've built a great relationship. And I think that came down to really aha moment for me and my wife and our team. It's like, no, what would be the perfect experience for someone to leave a company? Instead of say, see you later, we're done with you. How can you love them more when they leave? And that's how we frame it now when people leave, to make it the best, most positive, loving exit we can do.
That's cool. That's cool. And you sort of diffuse that anger emotion, and it's switched out, and because it doesn't have to be. People are going to want to explore and see what else is out there for them.
100%. Well, I heard it best the other day. Someone said, whenever you're really angry, you're in line. You're in Walt line to get a coffee, in line to get food, and it's like this long line, and you're impatient. He goes, you need to switch that to gratitude. And I forget who was saying it, but he said, what I do is when I get really upset, the next thing I do is I pay for the person behind me. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I go through that gratitude, it just changes my mindset. And I fortunately started in 2016 what I call the thank you experiment. And I started writing one thank you letter a day. I bought like 500 thank you letters. I'll do it for 1 year. And I haven't stopped. And it's changed my life, to coaches, to teachers, to anyone. Every morning I start the day, the first thing I do is I write a thank you letter. And what better way to start your day with gratitude? Again, it's a way to diffuse the situation instead of, oh, these are all the things I have to do. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. No. What are you appreciative of? And so it's same thing situation, try to diffuse it and look the opposite way.
It's super cool. So I got to ask you this, what's next for you? I mean, I know building the franchise is great, but what's the big goal for you? What are you building? What are you working towards?
Yeah.
Besides, Savannah Banana greatness.
It's a great question. I've been asked so many times, you're going to get into minor league baseball. You're going to get into major league baseball, and being very open, I have zero interest. I like us to be able to have the opportunity to have no red tape and really create the experience that we think will be the best experience. So we used to have a bunch of teams. We had 2 or 3 teams. We were running all over. But the Savannah Bananas has reached a bigger impact than I've ever imagined. Just our insiders, we got it showing all over the world, which is our videos. People fly here. Even right now, which is crazy. We're in the middle still of a pandemic, and people are flying here to games. Our goal is to impact more people by taking the show on the road. By literally, how can we bring this show, this fun, this happiness that we think we're delivering all over the world? And so we're working towards that. Again, we reached a constraint. When you reach a constraint, you have to not just say, keep pushing through that constraint, find a new way. Our constraint is we've sold out every game at our ballpark. Next constraint is, all right, well, there's millions of people who haven't been able to hopefully have fun and be touched and watch the breakdancing coach and smile and go home saying, this was the most fun I've ever had at a baseball game. So, you will see within the next 12 months, we will start our world tour. And we're gonna start small. We're gonna do the one city world tour. So we're gonna play in one city as our world tour, and then and go from there. And that's the vision that we're working on as a team, and we're all excited to bring what we've done in our little city of Savannah to more people.
Oh, that's cool, man. I think it's wild how you have a pretty short season there.
Yeah, 30 games.
So how do you keep the banana magic alive? For the 330 days, outside of season?
Yeah. Great question. It's we have a very in-depth video team. We're constantly doing videos, shooting videos. For us, it's by putting out videos, music videos, by putting out parodies, by putting out fun things of our players and our staff year round. It keeps our whole team engaged and saying like, oh, I love you guys. You're so much fun. It keeps us feeling purpose in what we're doing. So that's for us. That's how we stay engaged. And, we share stories. We share stories. I mean, we get so many emails and stories that we just keep sharing to keep them engaged. And the reality is we can't just open the gates in May and say, every season sold out, every game sold out. We have to work at it. We still have to meet with groups and take care of them. And as we say, serve over sell. No one wakes up and wants to be sold, but how can we serve people every day?
Yeah, I love that, man. You keep them hungry. You keep them excited. You keep the magic flowing.
Yeah. And it is always that, what's that next vision? What's that next thing that we can do? We have a slippery banana alcoholic drink that our fans absolutely love. We're looking at distributing that. We're bringing in a Savannah Banana Cream Soda next week. We're bringing in these new products that people say, wow, our fans like this. And they can see that what we're doing actually matters.
Yeah. So I love that, because what you're doing is you have this center focus, right?
Yes.
The bananas. and you're saying what can come off of that. So many people say, hey, I have the bananas, but now I want to go do the peaches. And then I want to go do this. And then the bananas go down, the peaches go up, and now they're working on the apples.
Yes. And that happens all the time. And we learned that. When we went to Savannah, our Gastonia team went downhill. And so we had to sell it. It just didn't have the success. So we focused on so the focus is huge. And I think the question that every company should be asking now, especially during COVID, which we don't know how it's in. COVID is like a coma. We're in a coma. You don't know how long it's going to go. You don't know when we're going to wake up. You don't know what we're going to look like when we wake up. But how can you force yourself to be stronger when we do wake up?
Yep.
And that's what we're asking ourselves. So the question I'm sharing with everyone is like, how are you a 24/7 brand? How can your customers, your people engage with you and potentially buy from you 24/7? In the live entertainment business, that wasn't the case for many. It was, they have their games and that's it. And that's why you're going to see so many sports teams fail and go out of business. So we're asking that question. Can people eat, drink? Can they sleep with us? Can they literally, can we have an Airbnb at the stadium? Can we have food 24/7, merchandise 24/7, is streaming, a Bananas Netflix, which we're launching, all Bananas documentaries and TV shows 24/7. That's the brand of the future that anyone can engage with you at all times. And that's the question we're asking right now.
Yeah, it's an inside out approach, which is cool. It's awesome, man. So I call the show the Becoming a Champion show, and I always end with this question. What does the word champion mean to you?
Oh, geez. The first word that comes out is the best. And then what I think about that is you're a champion. I think of Muhammad Ali. I think about, the greatest. And as a champion, but the question I would go further on is, well, what makes a champion? How do you become a champion? And as we talked about earlier, it's fighting through the adversity, finding a way, pushing through, challenging yourself, being uncomfortable constantly as you push through those challenges and finding a way to win at the end. And winning isn't the typical definition of just, do you win? It's, do you become better? Are you competing against yourself to be the best you can be? And to me, that's what a champion is.
I love that. I may have to steal that from you because that's my job. I say I build champions.
You've done a great job with yourself and the people you work with. When you first reached out, I admire everything you're doing and pushing people to be champions, which is great.
Thank you.